I started surfing probably when I was around 12 or 13 years old. I just barely remember as a youth seeing a couple of people out there surfing, and my cousin said, I want to do that. My aunt said, you're never going to be able to do that. We won't let you do that. It's too dangerous. And it sort of incited me to like, well, I'm going to do it. In the 60s into the 70s, it was just a few of us. It was just you and a group of your friends surfing your local breaks. Through the change of the seasons, the summer into the fall right now, and then surfing into the winter, and then back to the spring, and then the summer again, just brought out the hardened surfer, like the guys who surf all winter long, and you know who they are. I mean, it's a hardy bunch. It just made you appreciate it more. And then you realize that the waves are so good in the wintertime. It gives it an appreciation to what you do. The temperature will be in the low teens, and the wind chill will be close to zero, and the water temperature could be between 38 and 42. It's a pretty hardy crew that surf all winter here in New England. Just sitting out there in the ocean, you hear people say, oh, everything, I didn't have a problem in the world. When I was out in the ocean, it was just me sitting out there, and to a certain extent, that's true. But surfing just sort of clears your mind of a lot of stuff going on, and to excel in surfing and to do good at surfing, it takes full concentration.
People have gotten hurt out here bad. Serious injuries, broken bones, near drownings. But this break is one of the best breaks on the planet. It's like we have great waves here. We just have unbearable conditions. We had a dozen or so surfers coming in from California. They flew in from California to surf that. Surfers are crazy. They'll do anything. There's my son right there. I missed that whole wave. Sorry, Matt. He'll say something to me. You missed my best wave. You'll be talking to someone again. This is my office, man. This is where I work. That was a nice wave. See, this is a perfect wave, how it breaks. It's a perfect point break. That's world class. Ran into the back room where we had this den where we all watched TV, and it was a black and white TV, and on the TV was surfing, and I stopped and looked, and I'm like, what is this? What are they doing? I said, they're surfing. I'm like, surfing? I was just mesmerized watching these guys walking the nose and turning. I'm like, well, where is this again? We got to move there. And I knew that the rest of my life I would do whatever I had to do, lie, cheat, whatever I had to do to get to go surfing. And my whole life revolved around the ocean from that point on. I've lost girlfriends, jobs, got in trouble in school, missing Christmas dinner, you know, missing Easter. And I'd walk in late and my father would look at me like, what? Don't tell me you were surfing. You turned me on to it, Dad, it was your fault. You know, when are you gonna grow up? Never. I'm never gonna grow up.
I was born here on Cape Cod, and I did elementary school in Maui. My mom was from Hawaii and my dad was a Cape Codder, so we bounced around a lot between the two. Then I moved back to Hawaii and got into surfboard shaping, and now I've been shaping for 22 years. full-time. Decade later, I move back and I see my friends wearing around my favorite flannel and stuff, and I'm like, man, I never should have gave that away, but I never thought I would move back here. But I miss the seasons and I miss the snow. I had no desire to shape a surfboard my entire life, and now 22 years later and probably 25,000 boards later, that's been my life. I really felt it in the beginning, the gratification of like making a surfboard for somebody, whether they're a pro surfer or the average Joe, but to get them in the water and you see them ripping on it or just surfing well, catching tons of waves, and that makes you feel so good. And working with your hands and building something that's a piece of you, you know, my knowledge and whatever that I make with my hands to help somebody have a good time, and has made me feel super good. And everybody kind of has their own addiction with surfing, especially. It's just something that sucks you in. It's like a way of life, and you need it to live because it's your life. This is who I am. I've been a surfer my entire life, and take the surfing away from me, I don't know what to do with myself.
The East Coast was like the forgotten little brother that had to fight its way to get any type of recognition. That's for sure. This is First Beach right here.
Oh, wow.
This is where I learned to surf, right on this beach. My mom used to load up the station wagon with a bunch of the surf guys, the kids in the neighborhood, and drop us off right up there. That was the surfing end up in that corner up there. The shop is right down the street. It was absolutely the best.
These are my jungle boots from Vietnam and my bush cover with grenade pins. And I went from being a combat artist to being, an expert sniper. And this is the skateboard that I had when I skateboarded on the flight deck of a helicopter assault ship off the coast of Vietnam during a typhoon, 130-mile-an-hour winds. They were going to court-martial me. And I made one pass, down, did a kick turn, came back down, and then the Navy guys came out and grabbed me and threw me in the cell, holding cell.
Why'd you do it?
Because it was as close as I could get to surfing. We were the first Americans to ever surf in Nova Scotia. 1971.
And you filmed it?
Filmed it.
It isn't just on a community level. Like, I mean, you'll go up and down the East Coast if you do this whole thing on the East Coast, and people be like, oh yeah, I know Beck, we used to surf together here, or stuff happens all the time. And it's just the surf culture, the middle-aged guys that are out there that have been doing it since we were kids, like, we've all crossed paths at some point. It turns into a daily piece of your life, whether it's even at home at night, checking the weather models and seeing what kind of swells come in and checking the wind forecast, and it's definitely, it's a lifestyle, that type of surfing. That's what helps me like get present, and when you're in the water, you can't think about anything. You're about to drop into a ledge and or you're going to get pummeled, and you can drown or get hurt. So the same thing with big waves. If you get a big hole down, you could die. Especially when being in the ocean, it's always moving. There's currents, there's sharks, there's the waves itself. There's a lot that goes on, so you have to be present.
Once you parallel a wave, once you get up on a wave, once you feel that sensation, it either stays with you or it doesn't. And most surfers will spend the rest of their lives finding out a way to be able to do that for the rest of their lives. And that's basically what happened to me and millions of other surfers. The timeless maneuver of surfing is getting inside the barrel, getting inside the wave where you pull up inside, and that's what keeps you going back. Getting in the barrel is like, It's hard to describe to anyone that's never been there. Surfers will drop whatever they're doing, you know. And that's the thing about surfing is you can't count on there being waves. And for a surfer, you got to be really flexible. You have to have an understanding boss, significant other, whatever it is that you're going to blow off to go surfing, and you are going to do that to be a surfer. Just no way around it, you know. The payoff is that night when you're laying in bed and you're thinking about that wave you got, man, it was worth it.
You know, eventually, you know, we put the cement floor, moved to a surf shop in 1971, but always kept this as the headquarters. And a lot of the guys call it the pit. We definitely had parties down here. I'm not going to say there wasn't parties here after surf sessions or skateboard sessions. And I just enjoy it down here. It sort of like settles me, you know what I mean? You talk about a soothing feel, you know, it's like somebody going into their library or to their study. I go into this place. I'm lost, you guys. I'm just getting burnt out.
No worries, no worries.
You know, I don't live in no fantasy world where, you know, I'm living like it was 20 years ago, and, you know, I'm more unique in the position that where surfing is my life. It's like I wake up, I've never been in a room without a surfboard. This is just part of my life. If I didn't surf, I'd probably, rely on it more than I even know, because it's just, you guys know, if you see me today, it's all we do. I mean, this is what I do.
I mean, I don't know what, but like right now I'm still healthy because that's my outlet. That's what I do. I don't go to a gym. I've never have or anything. And so it's definitely keeping me healthy and young. And I find myself drinking more and like not being as responsible of a human as I am when I'm surfing all the time. I mean, for me, it was like I was in a bad spot. A lot of us, I watched a lot of friends go in really dark places because they're not surfing anymore. And we all kind of had to be like, all right, we weren't in a good spot when we weren't surfing. And so what's more dangerous, to not surf or to be in the water where, I mean, we've been surfing in these waters and they've been shark infested our entire lives. So I'm gonna go back to being who I am.
So I shoot more than I surf these days, but by shooting, I'm still participating. I'm still engaged in this passion, this love, you know, by being part of it. Knowing that I'm capturing all these surfers and capturing these empty waves, I'm still a big part of it, even though I'm not out there surfing as much as I, did. The older you get, shit starts to break down. You look at any, lifestyle or sport or career, people get old.
I went through double hip replacement. I had my hips taken right out of my body when I was about 66, 67 years old. For me, to surf, I only look at things like you're only as good as the last time you're out in the water. Pal, let's say if I go out for an hour, let's say if I surf this morning, I got out there around 7 o'clock, surfed like crap, I'd be sort of bummed out all day. Every time you paddle out there and try your best is the same to me as it was when I was 19 years old and starting to travel, the world and surf. starting over again. Sounds weird, but that's what happens. Like with the hips gone, I had trouble popping back up again, and yeah. So for me, I got to start surfing again. So feel like I've been surfing for only 2 years now.
You just try to recapture that moment, that youthful moment, young teenage riding away for the first time. You just want to get back there, that sensation, that feeling again.
But for me now, it's being a dad and having responsibilities. It's like, you know, you got to go to work.
I hate to say this, you know, but like, what does the day look like when you like really can't surf as well as you have to? I mean, at whatever age that is, or whatever point that is, like, what does that look like? What does that feel like?
Honestly, I've probably done hundreds of interviews and no one's ever asked me that question. And at 49 years old, I know I'm getting older, but I've never thought about that. Me not surfing, like, I don't see that happening anytime soon. And I'm still trying to rip as hard as I was when I was younger. Keeping your brain in a good spot helps your body be in a good spot. So me surfing and taking care of myself is taking care of my brain, which is taking care of my body, and it all feeds. Right now, if I stop surfing and then, like I said, when stuff like that happens, then all of a sudden I'm having 2 beers per night instead of 1 beer or whatever, and then you could see yourself how it would be a slippery slope. That's where it's part of my lifestyle that I have to surf. It's like, yeah, okay, I have a child and I have a job and I need to get all these boards done, people are waiting, but if you don't take care of yourself, you're not gonna be good for anybody.
Shit, in 20 years, I'll be 90 years old. And I know, hopefully, by then, and I'm fortunate enough to still be alive, and to go when the waves are big, and to go watch the waves, to have people maybe recognize you for what you did, say, hey, that old guy helped save this break. That would mean a lot to me. Sometimes maybe getting up and just riding straight to the beach will give you the same feeling you got when you were 19 and you caught 1 million of the best waves in the world. I think it does. You know, people like you still surf, and hey, if I have a couple good waves, that'll make my day. You know what I mean? You don't have to hit a home run.
Right. So what, like,
to get that feeling.
What is that?
It's not that I don't even want to spit out the wrong words. Feeling good, not invincible. You feel so fulfilled, and no matter how bad it was, it's always worth it.